Let's do it. Well, hello and welcome into Entertainment News. I am Jonathan here to discuss the latest happenings in the world. Well, tonight of Hollywood and Star Wars. I'm going to get my serious head on and parts of this show, potentially, as I've got Dolly Parton on to my right here, performing. And I believe Arlington, is it? I think that's where the Cowboys are located. Thanksgiving, NFL's on. And I'm going to put on stupid accents at other parts of the show as well, which I'm doing just now. But if you've clicked on the show, if you've clicked on the stream on the video, then you'll see that it's actually Dave Filoni being promoted at Lucasfilm, which is the headline of a show tonight. One Dave, everyone's favourite cowboy hat, sporting producer, director, writer, maestro, Star Wars extraordinaire, has been promoted at Lucasfilm. This was news that broke, I believe, yesterday, maybe a day and a half ago. I was going to do a show last night, but I ran out of time, sadly. I'm a very busy boy just now, and with that obviously means that time is at a premium, and I'm sometimes toiling to get on here. Look at this, you can see my shoulder. I'll sort that out in a moment. But yeah, I'm speaking about this tonight because this is big news. Huge Star Wars fans here at MBE. And we love all aspects of Star Wars, and we hate some aspects of Star Wars as well. That's a bit oxymoronic what it says there. We love all aspects of Star Wars. We also hate some aspects of Star Wars. We clearly don't love all aspects of Star Wars then. Just 90% of it. But you can't miss something like this. If this is news that's doing its rounds around the various publications in Hollywood and, of course, in the international markets, United Kingdom, whatnot, then you simply have to discuss it. It's coming in from Vanity Fair. As I did say, Dave's been out speaking not only about this, but a huge array of things as well. We've got Daisy Ridley out discussing some Star Wars shenanigans too. And as a big Star Wars fan, I thought I'd dive two-footed right into it. As you can see here, spoke with Vanity Fair. I think it was an exclusive from Vanity Fair, and he said this in regards to his promotion at Lucasfilm. Now I'm what's called Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm, Filoni tells Vanity Fair, which places him into the development process much earlier and in a much more expansive capacity than his previous advisory duties. In the past, in a lot of projects, I would be brought into, I would see after it had already developed a good ways. He continues to say, I believe there's more quotes. In this new role, it's opened up to basically everything that's going on. When we are planning the future of what we're doing now, I'm involved at the inception phase. So, yeah, I mean, look, this is great news. This is fantastic news in actual fact. I've been championing Dave Filoni and indeed Jon Favreau for a long, long time now. Love the man's work. I've enjoyed his work going back a decade with the likes of Clone Wars, Rebels. And now we see what he's all about in a live action set as well. Seen it in The Mandalorian. I think he was hands-on in some of the episodes of The Mandalorian. But certainly Ahsoka, his baby, his creation, the character, the TV show, live action. We see that he can make that jump effectively over to a live action set, and he's not just a maestro in the animated sort of sphere of Lucasfilm, of Star Wars. And with that, we got a truly brilliant TV show. I really, really enjoyed Ahsoka. I loved the lore building. I loved the references to the animated shows. I loved the Baylan Skoll character. Really enjoyed the periphery figure characters as well. Just really enjoyed it. It felt like Star Wars. It felt rich. It felt lived in. It felt invigorating. And we had Grand Admiral Thrawn in there doing his thing too. And it was just a wondrous show, a wondrous experience. Sadly, tempered slightly with the loss of Ray Stevenson earlier in the year. But that showed me that Dave could effectively give the Star Wars universe, the audience, the fan base, if you like, fandom, what they want in a live action setting, which is right good Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars, and music feels like Star Wars. It just has that, I don't know, intangible element to it that is Star Wars. And obviously we know that he's been hands-on behind the scenes as well, behind the cameras. He worked closely under George Lucas for many a year prior to the handover of Lucasfilm and all of its sort of projects and creations to Disney. And he was seen as the heir apparent to Lucas. Obviously that didn't pan out very well because Lucas overlooked him and gave the job to Kathleen Kennedy. A decision I'm sure that George regrets, and I'm sure 99.999% of the Star Wars fandom regret as well, because no doubt Kathleen Kennedy is a fantastic producer. We've seen that with her and her husband, whose name I always forget, something Gallica, I think, Frank Marshall, I can't remember. But her and her husband have produced wondrous amounts of films over the last 20-30 years. Some of the biggest films in the industry, the likes of Indiana Jones. I think she was heavily involved in E.T., a lot of Steven Spielberg movies. Incredible producer. Her reputation, her legacy in Hollywood and indeed in film is there, and it will stand the test of time. It's there for all to see. But her tenure as president of Lucasfilm is an unmitigated disaster. She's overseen production woes, purgatory, announcing films and then they disappear, announcing directors, having them go through the entire production process and then sack them 2 weeks before the film's production is set to end, sending the movie into complete disarray, having to bring Ron Howard in to save the day, interfering with Rogue One, having to bring Tony Gilroy in to save, and I'm blanking on his name, the guy that done Rogue One anyway, the director. He's just done the creator. Why am I blanking on his name? Doesn't matter. She's had a disastrous tenure as president of Lucasfilm. This isn't quite what I wanted. I wanted to see Dave Filoni become the president. I wanted to see Kathleen Kennedy stepping away and Dave taking over and making it his own, working in tandem with an equally brilliant mind like Jon Favreau, making Star Wars truly special again. Star Wars, when I grew up, she's not away, sadly not, no. She's still president, but Dave Filoni's been promoted. He is one level below now. He's dealing at the inception process of all Star Wars content now. He's hands-on. He's curating it from the get-go. So he's effectively doing the job of Kathleen Kennedy now without doing the job of Kathleen Kennedy. She's gone. She's dead in the water. It's time for her to go. It will come eventually. It's just when at this point. I think we're maybe positioning Dave Filoni to take over. This is the first step. I wanted to see him be president. I think he will be president. This is the first step in that process of righting the wrongs. It's almost like what Max von Sydow said at the start of The Force Awakens. This will begin to make things right. And certainly he's got all of that knowledge, array of knowledge on Star Wars mythology, on the galaxy. He's picked the brain of George Lucas. He's a Star Wars fan. He fundamentally gets what it is to make a Star Wars project, be it TV, be it film, be it animated, be it live action. And we've seen that with The Mandalorian, working with Jon Favreau. We've seen it now with Ahsoka. We've seen it with the way he's handled legacy characters. He's handled hugely popular characters in the EU. And hopefully this will lead to better things for Star Wars. We've seen Bob Iger stepping in, taking over the helm of Disney again for the sort of departed Bob Chapek. Try to right the ship if you like. And I feel like this has got his fingertips all over it. He realises Gareth Edwards was the name of a director. I had Gareth Keenan in my mind, but that's Office, I think. Gareth investigates. Well, pointless if she's still there for now. She is, but she'll not be there for long. Her times, she's getting older, man. She's in her 60s now, and she's not popular. And it's been a disaster. Her tenure has been an absolute disaster. So she's divisive, she's unpopular, and Bob Iger must surely know. He's a switched-on man. He must surely know with all that toxicity comes poor box office success, comes poor sort of reception from the fandom to films, TV. So we want to get shot of her ASAP. She's got a contract though, so that will have to run its sort of due course, and I'm sure it will. And then we'll get Dave stepping into her shoes. Not very big shoes. In this instance, if it was producing, then I could half argue that it's big shoes, but as a president of Lucasfilm, certainly not. But he's involved hands-on. He's in the inception phase. This is good news, man. Dave knows his shit. And if he's now involved in the inception phase of all Star Wars content coming out of Disney, Lucasfilm, then he will hopefully be the complete opposite of that producer that was involved in the prequel Star Wars movies, where he was a sycophant and saying, yes, that's great, let's do that, yes, George, that's fantastic, George. He will hopefully be vocal in his opinion, and he will counter any nonsense that's put forth, and he'll say, that's not Star Wars, that's not fucking happening. I've got confidence. He's a very confident, assured, forthright kind of guy, and he knows Star Wars. So I think this is good news. He has been out speaking about a lot of other things though. We've got this news as well. Daisy Ridley's been out speaking about her new Star Wars movie. She was speaking to Steve Weintraub at Collider. This is what she had to say. I'm on the fence with this movie. I'm not a huge fan of the sequel trilogy. I don't quite like the shitting on Daisy that happened post the sequel trilogy. Ultimately, Daisy Ridley is an actor. She's paid to recite the lines in the script. She's not paid to create the character, to create the arc of the character, to have creative processing in the sort of stories. She's just an actor who turns up onto set and reads the lines and tries to do her best in terms of performance. Could they save the Rey character? Do I want to see the Rey character continued? No, I don't want to see the Rey character continued. Why am I sitting in the fence though? I think there is enough potential in the character, maybe, try to talk myself into it, that we could get 1-2 more movies and it could semi-redeem the shit show that was the last 2 movies, even the last movie in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. If I cast my mind back to The Force Awakens, I really connected with the Rey character. I thought she was following a similar journey to Luke. I could even get on board with the fight sequences with Kylo Ren at the end, because they did heavily hint he'd been injured. They heavily hinted again and again about Chewbacca's bowcaster, how powerful it was. He took a hit to the side. And he in himself wasn't a fully trained Sith dark side Force user. So I could get on board with her holding her own to an extent, just about getting out there intact at the end of The Force Awakens. The character itself in that initial movie was likeable. She was on her own on Jakku, and she had an intriguing mysteriousness to her. What transpired afterwards was nothing other than an unmitigated fucking shit show disaster, where we had Obi-Wan Kenobi whispering in her mind, then they just completely ignore that and make her a Palpatine. I think there's enough potential to do something with the Rey character if you get the right people on board, and make a compelling reason for this film to happen. I just hope they're not saying, yeah, let's bring Daisy back, fuck it, why not, that'll rile the Star Wars fandom, and there's no real reason d'etre for it. Probably getting Ahsoka saga now with 9 films. Listen, I wouldn't be adverse to that. I like the Ahsoka character. I think she's pretty cool. I don't think there's 9 films worth of storytelling there, sadly, but I think more of that Ahsoka TV show with the likes of Ezra and Grand Admiral Thrawn and interconnecting the Mandalorian and maybe even Boba Fett as well, and his sidekick, who I always forget, the sort of what's going on with that TV beside me. Just more of those characters, connecting them and building to this movie that's coming out. I'd be well on board for that. I think Ahsoka's a really intriguing character. It's also a character that Dave lives in some way vicariously through. It's almost his Luke Skywalker in his little sector of the Star Wars timeline. Get Ridley to F. She can't act, man. I've not seen enough of her work outside of Star Wars to really make a sort of guesstimate on how much she can act or not. I seen her in Murder on the Orient Express. She wasn't a massive character in that. These murder mystery movies, by their very essence, are huge A-list bonanzas. You've got so many big faces and names in there. That's kind of the sort of core necessity for a murder mystery movie, it seems. Least of all an Agatha Christie one. You need to have the who's who of A-list Hollywood actors, and obviously maybe some B and Z lists if you're saying that Ridley can't act and she's in there. So I mean, I can't. She wasn't amazing in it, but she didn't offend me either. I've not seen enough. I didn't see the Tom Holland movie she did, so I can't really speak about her acting prowess in depth. But man, look, this is what she says. I'll tell you, Steve, when I saw you in Park City, I don't know where that is, I had not been approached. I was asked not by you, but I was asked something when I was there, and strangely people were asking me stuff, and I was like, no, I'm not doing another one. Then it all happened after I came back. It was such a nice reception. I was shitting myself before I went on stage because no one, that's such an English, British thing to say, because no one I knew was going to that. No one knew I was going to Celebration. No one knew I was going to that, I should say. Not no one I knew was going to that. No one knew I was going to Celebration, bar like cafe. And there were a couple of people. I was so nervous. Oh my God, it was such a wonderful reception. I'm very excited. The story is really cool. I'm waiting to read a script because obviously I don't have any other updates. It's not what I expected, but I'm very excited. So it's not what she expected. As you can see here, she's ruminating that it could potentially be more than one film. It could be multiple film arc. It could be, I don't know, a story that spans another trilogy. I don't know if I want to see that, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with this. It really depends solely on whether there is a rational reason to continue the arc of Rey. And when it comes out, ultimately, we can't have it too close to The Rise of Skywalker. I think we need breathing room. I mean, we're how many years out now? I want to say, what was that, like 3 years? How long are we out from The Rise of Skywalker? 3-4 years? I've tried to fucking airbrush it from my mind, I'm not going to lie. I think we need another couple of years minimum before we even start thinking about Rey and the continuation of that story. I also don't want to just create a Rey arc where it's her following in the footsteps of Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker and creating a Jedi Academy and all of that shit. We don't want to rehash history and then bring in another Empire light and it's just the same shit show. There has to be, like I said, without repeating myself, real rationale for bringing the character back and a real reason to create multiple movies. This is also what I had to say. I'm not going to linger on this too long. I've got quite a few topics to get through. I'm sure I'll go off wandering in one of them at least, so I'm not going to linger too long on it. But as you can see, it can't mirror what we've seen before. He's talking about the Mandalorian movie, and he's promising that it will be more than a rehash. It will be more than just Republic versus the Empire. What did I just say? Repeating the same thing again and again. Just because it worked 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, doesn't mean that it's going to continue to keep working. At some point, you have to breathe some originality into these movies. Give the audience something different to get their teeth into. This is what I had to say in regards to the movie. I'm setting up what it seems to be a larger conflict with the Imperial Remnant. That conflict can't just mirror what we've seen before. It has to take on a different shape. It can't just be the Empire versus what looks like the Rebellion or even the Republic. It has to be visually different. And they're going off to say there's a whole host of potential avenues they can go down with this Mandalorian movie. It could be that the foes just now, Grand Admiral Thrawn and his sort of zombified stormtroopers, could end up fighting side by side with the likes of Ahsoka Tano, Sabine, Ezra, the Mandalorian, Grogu, against a greater threat. We've seen this done in the expanded universe, a threat from, I think it was some other galaxy. They came in, aliens that were immune to the Force, if you'd like. That may actually be Timothy Zahn's duology I'm thinking about, where Thrawn actually had alien creatures that dampened out the Force. But there was an alien invasion. These creatures were immensely powerful, and all sort of hostilities in the Star Wars galaxy between warring enemies fell by the wayside, and eventually they fought together to fight this greater threat. Maybe that's what we'll get in this. I don't know. I'm excited for it though. I'm excited that Dave has been promoted. I'm excited that he's at the inception stage of Star Wars creative sort of brainstorming, storyboarding, making films, TV shows. Because as I did say, the man knows his shit. He fundamentally gets Star Wars and he worked with the god that is George Lucas. And you can't get much better than that when it comes to Star Wars. And I'm also excited that he is not dropping his involvement in the Mandalorian movie. He's still directing it. He's still heavily involved in writing scripts, directing and getting hands-on. It's always the danger when you become a producer, you go higher up the food chain at a studio, that you lose that sort of hands-on approach. You become too busy to direct this fucking mic. So it's good news all round for me. Really happy for Dave. He's a cool guy, speaks very well, gets very passionate and emotional at these Star Wars celebration events. That's usually a good sign that you're dealing with someone who's got integrity, honesty, and they truly, truly love making Star Wars content. So couldn't have happened to a better guy. Just hope Jon Favreau gets involved when Kathleen Kennedy shuffles out the door. But we're going to move on. That's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about something else. I'll just not get a topic, so I'll just speak about it here. I'll bring it up. I'll get into that in a moment, that weighty shit. Not going to linger too long on that, incidentally. There was a chance I wasn't even going to speak about that period because it is contentious. But it's an entertainment show, and they are doing some crazy shit just now, for me anyway, in Hollywood, in regards to sacking people. And I fundamentally disagree with it, so I'm going to give my views on it. But look, Nicholas Hoult has been rumoured. My dog just farted there, incidentally, and it reverberated across the floor of the room. And now he's pushing my microphone. This is why you don't bring a Labrador into a room where you're recording content, because it's just not going to end well. This mic truly has a mind of its own tonight. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult, he's in talks to play... What is going on with this microphone? He's in talks to play the infamous villainous character in the Superman Legacy film, which is now slowly but surely building a bigger and bigger cast. What the fuck is this dog doing beside me, man? He's having a 4-course meal with air. He's scratching himself. He's farting. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to do a show here, mate. For fuck's sake, come on. Settle down, man. Jesus, man. Nicholas Hoult, though, he's in talks to play Lex Luthor. We were speaking about Nicholas Hoult recently. I'm trying to remember the context of where we were speaking about Nicholas Hoult recently. I think it was in the Robert Eggers Nosferatu film. He's in that film. We were talking about his brilliance as an actor. What is my dog doing? The fucking camera's going to cut out in a moment. Talking about his ability to play multiple genres and how our journey, for fuck's sake, this dog, man, wow. His ability to play multiple characters, do multiple genres, and how we'd followed his journey from about a boy all the way back to where he is now. And also he's worked in Renfield with Nicolas Cage in a Dracula movie. He's working with Robert Eggers. He can do anything, really. He's a fantastic actor. He's still got youth on his side to a degree, 33, 34-year-old man, same age as me. And so he's got longevity to play this character moving forward, which is important. This movie's a couple of years down the road before it hits the screens. And that's important. You can't be casting someone who's knocking on 40 or 50 because you've just not got the longevity to continue playing that character across a 10-year span, which is usually needed to do 3, 4 movies, 5 movies in a cinematic universe. So right off the bat, I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's better than Jesse Eisenberg, I think it was, who did the last one. He's a tall, imposing guy. And he's got the age on his side as well. Now this hasn't been confirmed as far as I'm aware, but it has been heavily hinted from a wide variety of different sources that he's heavily in talks. I think he put his name in the hat, and he put his name in the hat to play Superman originally, but now he's potentially one of the finalists for Lex Luthor. I think this is a great choice, man. I'm liking the cast that James is assembling here for this movie. I think David Cornsfit, incidentally. David Cornsfit here, where the hell is he? Here, there, everywhere. Here, there, everywhere. Where is the man? I had an image of him. He has bulked up tremendously. Where the hell? There he is there. David Cornsfit. 2 years out from playing the character, or a year and a half out from playing the character, looking jacked out of his mind. I think he's a fantastic choice as Superman. And also we've got the likes of Jimmy Olsen being cast. Skylar Gazondo's playing him. So that's a friend of Clark Kent at the Daily Globe, is it? I want to say. That's the name of the organisation that Mr. Kent works for. And we've got Sarah Sampaio, cast as Eve Teschmacher, who is the right-hand sort of man-woman, henchwoman of Lex Luthor. So that's a hint that we're definitely getting Lex Luthor in this movie. They've already cast the henchwoman of Lex in this movie. Right off the bat, you look at them, they're quite young. There's a partner emerging here. David Cornsvet, still a young man. This is being built for the future. There is longevity in these actors to play these characters moving forward. And I'm deeply excited about it. Who else is deeply excited? The veteran DC villain actors who have come out and praised his casting. The casting is looking special. This is something I think is a strength of James Gunn. You think of the Suicide Squad movie, you think of David Dastmalchian playing Polka Dot Man, you think of John Cena, you think of, I don't know, who else was in that movie? Now that I think about it. Just casted really, really well. The chemistry was on point between all of the actors. The laughs were on point. Tonally, it just worked for me. You think of the Guardians movies, you think of Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista. You think of fucking Zoe Saldana, who I'm trying to furiously remember who it is, Bradley Cooper. You think of the casting in those Guardians movies, the villains in there. You've got one of my all-time favourite actors, Kurt Russell, playing the villain Eagle in the second movie. He gets the casting consistently right. This is what this guy does so well. And I think he really has hit the nail into the head. Nail on the head, hit the ball out the park in this movie so far in regards to the casting we have. We've had the previous actors out. Last time, Cryer's iteration of blah blah blah, that's not the quote I'm looking for. They've just not shown me the quotes. Doesn't matter. Needless to say, 100% on board for Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor. I think that's an exceptional choice. And it really does lead me on to the sort of next point I'm going to make before I move on swiftly to the next topic. And that is the handling of Lex Luthor in this movie. It is extremely important that you get the handling of such a villainous character spot on in the first movie of... well, first Superman movie in this new universe. Not the first movie, we're going to have other movies before this. You have to get the handling right. You can't blow your load in the first movie. This has to be setting the foundations for his criminality, for his mischievous, villainous ends, if you'd like. Having him lurking about in the shadows, much like Penguin did to a degree in the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman movie. I don't want him being the main big bad in this movie and then he's gone after one movie. I want to see his legacy, his presence continuing throughout however many David Cornsvet, Superman, James Gunn movies we're going to have. I think it's a fantastic choice, but I want it to have longevity. I do not want this to be a one and done. And it's a big commitment from Nicholas, because Nicholas was in the X-Men movies. He knows what it's like to be connected to a comic book character and what that means in terms of his career for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. He's getting in here and he's committing potentially to multiple movies. So, what is this? What is this? Diga das ist Danke. Okay, ist Danke. I'm not German, man. I know phrases in German, but sadly I am not German. I am very much Scottish. All I can say is things like Ich besorge das Bier, Navigets, Welcome in, Was machst du heute? Things like that. Other than that though, I'm fucking useless. Nein, es tut mir leid. I know sayings, I don't know anything else. I was learning, but I keep stepping away from it. But look, needless to say, on board for Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor and Superman. Supremely excited for this new DC universe moving forward. I've got huge confidence in James Gunn and Peter Safran to get it right, to get the casting right, and to build a lasting universe. You cannot work with Kevin Feige and the brilliance over at Disney Marvel for as long as James did and not pick something up from them. At some point you're going to have to learn something. I mean, he's already learnt something as a director and as a sort of artist aside from that, but you've got to have picked something up from Kevin Feige, and hopefully he can take that and really, fucking make this DCU shine. Do some reactions on Johnny Sins movie. I don't know what that is, mate. Not going to lie, but we'll look at it. We tend to do reactions on a Friday night. Tend to get absolutely rattled and react. So it'll probably be tomorrow when we start doing reactions again. I'm about to speak about a trailer that's dropped for a movie we already reacted to. I think it was a teaser. Ranbir Kapoor's Animal. And really, really excited for that movie. I thought that looked stunning, to be quite frank. I'm going to speak about that briefly just now, incidentally. Ranbir Kapoor. A Ferocious Tale of Revenge. A trailer has dropped again. I'm not going to linger too long. This is an article from Collider, but needless to say, I've not yet seen a Ranbir Kapoor movie in its entirety. I've seen trailers. I think it was... God, what was the name of it, man? The one with Sanjay Dutt, incidentally, did that. That kind of bombed. Brahmastra, was it? I don't want to call it a comic book movie because I know it was based on mythological or real life events, depending on what your views are on it. I know he was involved in that, Ranbir. He's a big name actor. He's got a bit of charisma about him. And I really like him. I want to go and watch some of this guy's movies. And I have to say, Animal looked stunning. The teaser we seen, it looked incredible. The vibes were there. The music was powerful. The shots of him walking out, I think it was Sikh guys with the, what do you call them? Is it turbans? Am I butchering it, man? I don't know. I think it's a turban. With the suits, it's just the shot of them walking out of the car into this building, man, it just looked amazing. It looked violent. It looked fantastic. So I'm absolutely certain we'll be reacting to this Animal trailer tomorrow. I've not seen it yet. I'm not going to watch it because then it won't be an authentic reaction when the reaction comes. But yeah, I found it interesting that Collider was discussing this movie, discussing Bollywood in general and his influence and how he's sort of shaping cinema in his own unique way. And again, it just shows you that Indian cinema really is starting to pop off over in the Western spheres. It really is starting to be appreciated and loved. And I'm fucking delighted because we've been watching it now for 3+ years. TV, cinema, the full shebang. And it really is fantastic, man. There's been some crap stuff we've watched as well and we've called it out. But in the main, it's been absolutely outstanding, the content. I was going to discuss something else relating to Indian cinema today, the whole controversy over censorship, Netflix, Amazon Prime, sort of conservative fundamentalists in India going after directors and actors, trying to get them arrested, stopping content from going up, led to one director, and I want to say it was the guy involved with Sacred Games, having 2 heart attacks and getting into a real bad depression. And that saddened me greatly when I read that and I seen that, because I absolutely love Sacred Games. It was fucking incredible. Absolutely incredible TV show. And obviously it dabbled in the whole, I'm not even going to speak about it, the sort of religious nonsense that is really controversial over in India, I know that. But just, come on, just let artists do their thing, please. Can we just let them create great content and stop trying to imprison them because you don't agree with some of the things that they're exploring in their content? Can we just do that, please? It's 2023, soon to be 2024. When are we going to grow up as a race? And it's on that note, growing up as a race, as my dog nearly fucking kills me, I'm going to discuss this briefly. Now, this is a rabbit hole that I daren't fully traverse. I know it's a very contentious subject. And I know that anti-Semitism and whatnot is rife in the world at the best of times. And I know that tag has been flung around quite a lot now, and it's really, you're watering down what it means quite a bit, and that's dangerous, man. Not just for Jewish people, but for all Semitic people in the world. Stop throwing that phrase about like it's fucking confetti. You're demeaning it, and it should never be demeaned after what happened 80 years ago with the murder of 6 million people. Stop doing that first and foremost. But yeah, Melissa Barrera, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I knew who Melissa Barrera was prior to this. I've not seen a Scream movie since probably the first Scream movie. But yeah, I read that she'd been sacked from her role, or dropped from her role in Scream 7 for posting up, I believe, opinions on the Palestinian conflict, sharing her dismay at the continuing slaughter of thousands of people, a lot of them children who have been killed, and sort of showing, support for it. And by all accounts, sharing an article from Ras Segal, who is a Holocaust and genocide expert, a man who posted an article on, I believe, the Jewish Currents website. He's a man from Israel himself. He's a historian. He's an expert on the subject matter. Says it was textbook genocide. She shared some of this man's views on social media. Now, by all accounts, she has been sharing a lot on social media, and I've not been privy to everything. But she was dropped. I believe Susan Sarandon was dropped from a movie as well. And there was a producer dropped from a production company. I think Tom Cruise had to step in and try and resolve it because he disagreed with it. Really, why I'm speaking about this is, well, I mean, how's it relating to entertainment? Well, by all accounts, Hollywood is eating itself alive just now on this subject matter. And sacking anyone who seemingly steps away from the beaten path, steps off piste, and doesn't wholeheartedly support one side of the conflict. And I think that is really dangerous territory we're going down when you're dealing with such a complex and nuanced conflict that's been going on for 80, 90 years, if not longer, thousands of years in that region. But in its current form, about 80 years, 48 onwards, I want to say, maybe even before that. And reducing that to a binary choice is a really dangerous direction to go. And certainly when the person's sharing the works of an esteemed genocide and Holocaust expert, a man from Israel himself, who is saying it's a textbook genocide. So it's disheartening and it's saddening to see that Hollywood, who usually stand up for justice and humanitarian causes and try their best to be on the right side of history, are stepping in here two-footed and removing people from roles and removing people from production companies. Take a step back, try and be unbiased and just let people have their opinions on it, unless they're being really hateful and they're verging into anti-Semitism or indeed Islamophobic regions, in which case you have to cancel the fuck out of them, take them out of the industry and never ever cast them in projects ever again. But if people are being reasonably fair, and by all accounts this is the statement she released afterwards, and I find it completely crazy to be, taking this person out of this movie. And by all accounts, Jenna Ortega, good friends with Melissa Barrera, has also stepped away from the movie. I think the reasons they're given is that it is scheduling conflicts with Wednesday, which she's going to be shooting shortly. There is a lot of speculation, though, that it may be deeper than that. I'm not going to get into that speculation because I don't fucking know any of the individuals. But this is what she had to say in regards to it. I'm not going to linger in this too long. It is entertainment. It's an entertainment show, and that what I'd be speaking about, first of all, the deaths of 1,400 people on October 7th, and then the 14,000 people estimated to have died afterwards in the Gaza Strip. That's not something that's light-hearted, uplifting and entertaining. But I just thought I'd discuss it because I'm quite passionate about politics and shit like this, and I've been following this very carefully. And I found it to be very disheartening to see individuals being removed from movie roles because they're sharing an opinion which for me is very humanist in its sort of foundation, its source, if you'd like. She said this: first and foremost, I condemn anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, as all right-minded human beings should. I condemn hate and prejudice of any kind against any group of people, again, as all right-minded human beings should. As a Latina and a proud Mexicana, I feel the responsibility of having a platform that allows me the privilege of being heard, and therefore I've tried to use it to raise awareness about issues I care about and to lend my voice to those in need. Every person on this earth, regardless of religion, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation or socio-economic status, deserves equal human rights, dignity and, of course, freedom. I fundamentally agree with that. I believe a group of people are not their leadership and that no governing body should be above criticism. I pray day and night for no more deaths, for no more violence and for peaceful coexistence. I will continue to speak out for those that need it most and continue to advocate for peace and safety, for human rights and freedom. Silence is not an option for me. So I commend her for coming out and standing her ground and saying she's going to continue to speak up for the downtrodden and those who are being oppressed. And look, that could be on any side of any conflict worldwide. You don't want to see human beings being eviscerated, shot, murdered. I don't care whether they're Israeli, Palestinian, Ukrainian, Russian. a human life is to be cherished. It's very precious. The journey we're all on just now, consciousness, life, we don't know how incredibly rare it is in a universe made up of billions, trillions of galaxies and stars. No life should be needlessly lost because of colonialism or any other reason. So fucking commend her for standing her ground. I don't actually believe, having read this, that anything she said is anti-Semitic in any way. And I find it really fucking strange that Spyglass, who are the production company, I believe, for Scream 7, have removed her from the project. Also, they continue to go on to say here, also referencing false references to genocide, ethnic cleansing. Again, that's a slippery slope I don't really want to get down, but you have got Raz Segal, who's an Israeli historian and genocide and Holocaust expert, saying it's a textbook case for genocide. So I'll leave it to an esteemed mind like that to sort of set the tone for that particular discussion. Needless to say, I actually agree with Raz Segal. But yeah, it's really strange. It's sad. I did read another article. I had it up there. Hollywood's kind of eating itself alive just now. They're censoring people. They're removing people. And again, that could be correct because we've got idiots in life who are very hateful. And if they make remarks that are very hateful in their nature and they're deliberately stoking up hatred, then they deserve to be silenced. They deserve to be removed from the conversation. Hatred in all its forms is abhorrent and it has to be eradicated. We have to grow up as a fucking race. Come together. John Lennon was singing about this, man, 50 years ago. Come together right now over me. That may have been a euphemism for something else, but I took it in the literal form. And if they're making hateful comments, they should be silenced. They should be removed. They shouldn't have a career in Hollywood. These are inspirational figures to thousands of people around the world. But if in Melissa Barrera's case you're posting humanist arguments, wanting peace, not wanting to see kids getting blown up every single fucking day, getting shot dead, then I think that's commendable and that's something that should absolutely be agreed with by any right-minded, insane individual. It's absolutely batshit crazy what's going on in the Middle East just now, but then it's been batshit crazy in the Middle East for 20 odd years now, thanks to Western interference. But I digress, man. I'm going to move on from that. It was semi-entertainment related. Hollywood, they're sacking people. They're kind of shutting people up. There was an open letter incidentally going on about hostages and wanting peace and the Palestinian-Israel conflict, I think about a month ago. I think it was co-signed by 700 people. None of those people have been sacked from their jobs, so it's slightly fucking strange why Melissa has. But I digress. I'm going to move on. Final topic of the show. I'm going to end on a lovely, light-hearted note here. Talking about one of the most emotive and sad scenes in any of Christopher Nolan's movies. The Interstellar 23 Years of Memories scene. There's one common criticism against Christopher Nolan and his movies, that they're soulless, they're hollow, they lack emotion. They're very clinical and they're disconnected. And I fundamentally disagree with that, I really do. Time and again I've watched Nolan movies and I've been moved. I really have. Tenet. A couple of times when the protagonist meets Neil and he clearly knows the man and the journey they go on and how that is capped off at the end with that little ribbon on his back. That's a deeply moving moment. Inception, some really emotive moments. DiCaprio's character's relationship with his wife and going down through those different levels into the deep recesses of his mind. Some really emotional sort of moments in that movie. But Interstellar, man, I have to say, every time I watch this scene, I'm actually brought close to, if not straight up to tears. It's a fucking stunning scene. It's about 5 minutes long. And Matthew McConaughey, sublime acting. How the guy didn't win an Academy Award for this alone is a permanent aberration, if you'd like, aberration. I can say it right. On Hollywood's sort of history. How did he not win an Academy Award for this film? There's several moments in this movie that pop. I'd have to see who won the award that year, to be fair. There may have been a better performance, there almost certainly was, but it's a stunning scene, and it's strangely rooted in science fiction. Is that right? It's rooted in reality. This could happen. If you went to a planet close enough to a black hole, this could actually happen. You could lose 23 years like that. So it's strangely rooted in reality, which is what makes it all the more potent for me. But yeah, Nolan was out speaking about this scene and how he changed up the way that he sort of shoots his films for this scene. He says this about McConaughey, about that scene, about his brother's script. The wonderful truth is that in my brother's script, and one of the things that made me want to do the film, as a parent, it seemed like such a powerful story moment. It was always a North Star of a film. This beautiful sequence. Some of the actual words in the script, the specifics of what was said in the messages never changed. We film McConaughey's reaction first in close-up. You never do that in a scene. You start with a wide shot and then warm up. We hadn't seen the video messages, we'd filmed them all in advance, so that everything would be there in the moment, and he wanted to give us his first reaction. We shot it twice close up. I think I used the second one because the first one was too raw. Then we shot the monitors and the wider shots and put it together. The score as well, he says that they used some unused instrumental stuff from Zimmer's score, and it almost mimicked the memories playing out on the screen. The moment the memories stopped, the music stopped, and how that was almost like breaking the fourth wall. It was unheard of in film. All in all, man, really intriguing always, as always, to hear Nolan's thoughts on filmmaking and on his processes, because he's one of the best in the business. And that is a complete antidote to anybody that says Nolan can't make emotional films, because he can. That scene alone proves it. A stunning scene and a stunning film by a stunning actor as well, who was able to portray all of those emotions in 5 minutes. Really, really impressive piece of sort of breaking down of a scene, and one of my favourite Nolan scenes, period, in any of his movies. So yeah, look, I'm going to end on that note because my voice is going. Clearly I like to talk a lot. I've only been on here for less than about 45 minutes. You play in the actual music at the start, and it shows you how much I talk throughout the day. I just can't shut up. But look, I'm going to pass it over to anybody that's been watching. What's your thoughts on Dave Filoni getting promoted to Chief Creative Officer, I think, or something like that, in the Lucasfilm organisation? Now in the inception phase of Star Wars projects, he is the first, one of the very first, if not the first, to have his say and to curate that process. I think that's an immensely positive step for Lucasfilm, for Star Wars, and for Dave himself. What's your thoughts on it, though? Share it down below. What do you make about Nicholas Hoult getting cast potentially as Lex Luthor, about the Superman legacy casting in general? I think it's been excellent throughout the sort of piece, if you like. Is that the right phrase? I don't know if it says it now. I think Gunn's building an impressive cast, an impressive crew. I think this is going to be a really successful movie. Looking forward to seeing David Corenswet jacked out of his mind, given us a brilliant Superman movie. It's long overdue. Nearly 10 years since we last had a proper one. What do you make about the Ranbir Kapoor movie Animal getting a Ferocious trailer? Buzzing to see it tomorrow when we react to it. Really looking forward to the film. I thought it looked amazing in the teaser. Share your thoughts down below about Ranbir Kapoor, about Animal. Thoughts on Melissa Barrera being sacked from the production of Screen 7. Do you agree with me that it's a bit ridiculous, Hollywood stepping in and sacking people over their views on a very contentious conflict, if you can even call it a conflict, on the borderline ethnic cleansing, genocidal actions that are happening in the Gaza Strip? I think it's a humanist response. She's pro-life and wanting people to live. She's wanting peace. And she's getting sacked from her fucking movie role for it. What's your thoughts on it? Share your thoughts down below. Share your thoughts on that. Anything you feel compelled to. On Interstellar as well, on that scene from Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's processing and making it. Anything you feel compelled to share, put down below in the comment section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications. Like the video. I've said that before. Follow, notifications button over on Twitch as well. Follow and like the podcast on Spotify podcast. You'll not hear this on it though, because it's just me and Stephen's podcast that go up there. All that's left to be said is thank you to the comments. I've not seen the Animal trailer yet. We're going to be reacting to it tomorrow. And until the next time, I'm done. Bye-bye.